G'day, legends. Welcome to the Thursday Sesh on Celtic Down Under. I'm your host, Jared, and joining me, as always, is Willie. How you going, Willie?
I'm going pretty good, Jared. It's been another busy week, so school holidays are coming up, so pressure's on to get a job finished on time. So I'll just got to wait for my bits and bobs to arrive, and that'll be me. Hopefully, we'll get it all done, but busy as usual.
Willie's talking about his bits and bobs, everyone. Come on now. Good fun. Hope it all sorts out for you, mate. Yeah, it's
That's right.
bit of an interesting time over here. So yeah, typical Melbourne for you today. Sunny or cloudy all day, piss down rain for about 15 minutes, and then next thing you know, it's like sunny blue skies. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I know we're in autumn now, so great fun. Anyway, enough of that boring stuff. Let's get into the good stuff. Everyone's here to tune in and talk Celtic. So how to everyone in the comments. Make it as interactive as possible as usual. Like the video, please. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so. Our social media channels are all on the screen for you. So Celtic Down on Twitter and Instagram, and then on YouTube and Facebook, you can search Celtic Down Under, look for our logo, and off you go. Come join the fun, basically. So yeah, we got a bit to talk about tonight. So name the episode "Go Bigger or Go Home" because there is talk that the SPFL are looking at league reconstruction with the new league starting as of the 2026-2027 season. There are currently various options being looked at, ranging from a 10-team top flight up to a 14-team league. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through some quotes. So get used to my voice for the next little while, and then we'll just discuss it and go from there. So basically what they're looking at is the 10-team league is ridiculous. We're currently on a 12-team league. This option would include a smaller top flight with no top six split. The idea is already looking doomed because to make this happen, you're going to need 11 out of 12 votes to get it passed from the premiership teams. So who's going to vote themselves out of a spot in the premiership? Which two clubs are going to do that? No one. So dumb idea. Absolutely stupid idea in my thing. So, and there's one premiership club already confirmed that is going to be voting against it, while others are wary of the motives of that move. That club is St Johnstone. I've got a quote from them a bit later on to get to. The other option is a 14-team league, which would include two more teams. Now, this move would still have a top six, bottom eight split, so there'd be more mileage, less drawbacks. The league chiefs apparently are aiming to reduce the number of league games because of fixture congestion brought in from early European ties, which we'll talk about. It's one of our next topics. So the SPFL board are behind the bid for change and have instructed their competitions working group to look at it. That committee is chaired by Aberdeen's Stephen Gunn and will consider various alternatives before taking recommendations to any clubs. To expand it to a 14-team league, what you're going to need is 11 out of the 12 top flight clubs to say okay. Then you're also going to need 75% vote from all of the other clubs in the Premiership and the Championship. Sorry, you need 75% buy-in from the Premiership and Championship clubs combined, as well as 75% from all 42 clubs combined. So you need three things to go your way. 11 out of 12, 75% total between Premiership and Championship, and 75% from all the clubs across the top four divisions in Scottish football, 42 clubs. So, yeah, I'll just go bring up a comment here. Heavy vibes. It's the SFA. They'll make balls of it. The Pork Chop Express is saying 18-team top league, in my opinion. All the others in League One, 2 up, 2 down. So that's what they're saying. There's plenty of different options here. Now I'm going to go to the quote from the St Johnstone chairman. Before I do that, Willie, just give us your initial thoughts on the 10-team league option.
Massive no from me. I think there was 2 or 3 weeks ago, Might have been a month ago. We just exited January. I made a complaint that we were playing Dundee again. It seemed like we were playing Dundee for about the fifth time since the festive period. It was just repetitive, or a team from the Dundee area. We've just been playing them every other week. You go back to a 10-team league, that repetitiveness is just going to be even worse. Like, I mean, when I was a season ticket holder, it was a 10-team league, and it's like four times in one season you play them in the league. It's bad enough as it is with 12 teams. If they're gonna do league reconstruction, there's only one way to do it, and that is to increase the numbers in the league, not decrease it. Increasing the numbers will give you more fixtures, will give you more variety for the product on show. Staff Sky. Sky don't give a fuck about us. Why should we pander to them anymore? You know what I mean? They want 4 Old Firm games. Start treating us a bit better. Give us a bit more money. But nah, it's an absolute no. 10-team league is a disaster waiting to happen. You know what I mean? It's just we have one of the best supported per capita leagues in the world for fans turning up on a Saturday. You go back to a 10-team league, that numbers are going to tail off again. So it's a massive no from me.
So the reason I decided we'd jump on the 10-team league right now is because I'm in a perfect spot to talk about it. In Australia, we had the A League, it came in, and it was a 10-team league for years. We didn't have that split thing. So what they'd do is it was a 27-game season. So you have 10 teams, you play all the other teams 3 times. So one season, you're playing every club, like they'll split them. One season, you will be 2 home against one team, 1 away against them. Next year, it's reversed. And that's how they did it. So one season, you'd have 1 extra home game. The next season, you'd have 1 less home game. And you played 27 games, and then we would have our top 6 go to the playoffs, and that's what brings you up to 30-odd games for the season, or 31 games, or whatever it was. It worked, but you get sick of seeing the same teams play week in, week out. When I'm going down to Amy Park here to watch Melbourne Victory, and it's like, oh, we're playing Newcastle Jets again for the second time at home in the last 6 weeks. And then we've got to play them away in 3 weeks' time. You kind of get sick of it. And I find that as someone over here in Australia watching Scottish football, where you play everyone, you play the majority of clubs 4 times. Like we'll play Rangers, Aberdeen in particular, we'll play them 4 times. And then you get once the split happens and everything, like, even I find that a little boring sometimes. And middle of the night, getting up over here to watch games sometimes can be a challenge at the best of times, to then only have 10 teams in the league, so 9 other clubs, and you're going to be playing them all 4 times, so for 36 games. I'll get sick of watching us play against the Dundees and the St Johnstones and so on. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, so as I said with the name of the episode, go bigger or go home. Like, you need to grow the league. Otherwise, people are going to stay at home. They're not going to come to games. Be honest, we've got a good travelling support from Ireland. How many of them are going to want to jump on a ferry every weekend to come see the same teams again and again and again and again? It just makes no sense. So, yeah, so that's where we both sit on the 10-team league. So the quotes from St Johnstone's Adam Webb is he's the first Premiership club chief to break cover and slam the controversial league reconstruction proposals. So he said that he thinks there will be a huge mistake going to a 10-team league. I think that the bar, for good or for bad, when it comes to UK football or world football, is the EPL. They've got 20 clubs, and while we're not the same size in Scotland as they are in England, what you want to do is edge closer to having 20 clubs. And this is the part I agree with him the most. It's a more familiar system, and it's geared towards success on the world stage in UK. We should absolutely be heading in the other direction, not downsizing. And this is the key part. From looking at the quality in the championship this season, I can tell you that we have 2, 3 or 4 clubs that would do just fine in the Premiership. And there was a comment before from the Pork Chop Express saying the 12 now, just plus Partick Thistle, Dunfermline, Falkirk, Ayr, Wraith Rovers and Moreton. There you go. So there's a battle of there to get it to 18. Now, I think that's what we should be doing, looking to grow the league. So back to Adam Webb's quote, he goes, "We should be growing the premiership so that we become a little bit more in a comfortable situation for fans around the world, in the UK and whatever. I believe we should be going to a 14-team league very soon, and in 5 years later, we should be projecting to go to a 16-team league, so long as the quality of the championship is sufficient. If you keep growing on a gradual, deliberate way, then we can make sure that the quality is there. We need to have quality with every team in the premiership, but that's the direction we should be going. It'd be better for Scotland and better for the Scottish national team and better for Scottish football." Willie, what's your thoughts?
The only way to do this is to increase the league. I mean, you go to a 10-team league, you can have the split, but you're going to have one team with a free week because it's going to be 5 and 5. Because splitting at 6 and 4 would just be pointless unless you're going to make the bottom 4 teams go into a relegation playoff in that pocket of 4 teams, which is essentially what it would be. So increasing it, and then you could say to yourself, well, if we increase it to 14 and we still want the split to try and keep as many Glasgow derbies as possible, you're still going to have an odd number there. Do you split it 6 in the top, 8 in the bottom, or do you increase? For me personally, it would be a 16-team top league. That would be perfect for us. 20 is too much for Scotland because of the size of the clubs we have. I think 16 would be the right number, and then we would have 2 divisions below that of 16, which give us 48 clubs in total. Professional. Right now we have 42, and a lot of people say, "Oh, we need to decrease the number." That extra 6 should go to young teams like the Celtic Bees, the Rangers Bees, the Hearts Bees, the Hibs Bees, Aberdeen, whoever. They should be given their chance to go through the Highland League, to go through the Lowland League, to get into the professional leagues and work their way up. And they would get to the whatever you would call it, the Championship, League One, Division One, whatever you want to call it. They would get there and they would sit there and they would never be allowed to go any higher. They could get relegated and promoted again back up from Division Two into the Championship, no bother at all. But they can't go any higher than that. For me, that's the ideal situation. This talk going back to a 10-team league is absolute lunacy for me. Like, it's just self-preservation of the richest clubs just trying to cement their place in the top. St Johnstone won't want to give up their place in the Premier League, and if you were going to go to a 10-team top league right now, you'd be looking at probably, I think it's Dundee are sitting in 11th, Kilmarnock are floating around there too. One of them would have to go down as well. They're not wanting to give up their place either. Like, so it won't happen because the clubs vote against the best interest of what the fans want or what's best for Scottish football. The clubs will vote against it for what's best for their own pockets. So I don't
Speaking
know.
on that, Willie, about their pockets, it swings and roundabouts the way I look at it, because who's going to vote, as I said, to drop out of the premiership and lose their TV money, right? So that's the first bit, to go back to 10. But to go to 14, what happens? You're bringing in 2 extra teams. That means the TV money's more diluted as well. So clubs aren't going to want to vote for that as well, will they? Because, if I'm getting 600 grand a season, but now I'm only going to get 500 grand a season because there's 2 extra teams in there and they need to get their money, and it becomes an issue. So that's where my view, what we need to do is whatever the solidarity payment from UEFA comes into the Scottish football needs to be there to prop the difference up before anything gets distributed.
Yeah, I think one of the arguments before when we had a 16-team league was too many teams were playing for draws to try and avoid relegation. The last time we had a league that was like 14 or 16 teams, it was 1 point for a draw and 2 points for a win. So playing for a draw was meaningful back then, but with the 3 points for a win and 1 point for a draw, you're going to have to push a boat out somewhere along the line and try and get these wins, which it's going to make it more competitive. You know what I mean? Teams aren't going to sit in, like St Johnstone aren't just going to sit in and play a back 5 week in, week out, hoping just to get a point here and there, just to try and stay in the race until the bottom 6 split comes in, and then try and push on from there. It makes so much sense, but we all know it's Scottish football. When something makes sense, they'll vote against it.
So John Clemens touched on what you just said there, Willie, as well. A bigger league will get teams to play more open football with less jeopardy regarding relegation. And then we've got here John Clements is also saying 2 top-tier leagues, then regional leagues to cut down costs. The problem with that, John, I see, is that you've got a lot of junior clubs trying to break into the top 42. So I don't really see it going that way. Smell the glove saying any TV deal will want for Celtic the Rangers games. So again, some kind of split will come in up. And that's something I want to touch on. If we go to 14, right, and you play everyone twice home and away, that's 26 games. Then if you go a split top 7, bottom 7, it's another 6 games. So what's that bring you up to? 32 games for the year. So it seems a little low. But then if you play everyone after the split 2 more times, which is what the TV companies all want, that brings you up to 38 games. So there's a way there if it's at 14. If you go to 16, you play each other twice home and away, that's 30 games. Then if you split it down the guts again at 8, you can play 37 games. And then you figure it out that way. So it could work. There's different ways here. But James has said here, you're missing the point, boys. Bigger league means the SFA need to get a bigger TV deal. Every club gets their cut. Then it gets to 16, 18. Yeah, I think we just said that, James. But yeah, I see your point, mate. Like the whole TV deal thing is going to be an issue. So that's what happens when your league is an analog league run by analog people in a digital world, I think it's the saying. But to give you an idea, for those over in Scotland, UK, whatever, right? In the A League, we had 10 teams. We went to 11, then we went to 12. Then it retracted back down. A few teams died off. Currently, we're doing it in the most stupid way possible, in my opinion. We have 13 teams in our league. So every week, there's 6 games and a bye. So it gets clunky because at the moment, you've got some teams that have played 22 games. Some teams have only played 20 because of teams that had buys and whatever, and things moved around for games over in the Asian league and that. So, yeah, it's going to be – there's odd ways to do it, but I think the best thing is bring in 2 teams, bring in another 2, get it to 4, up to 14 first, then get it to 16. By that point, if things go to plan, like as Alan Webb, I think it was his name, Alan Webb at St. Johnstone said, that if they, Adam Webb, if they were to bring in 2, go to a 14 league team, do that for 5 years, then go to a 16, so it's a gradual thing, your TV deal will be over. And then a smell of the glove saying, here, Neil Doncaster negotiating a better TV deal. Jesus wept. Someone's going to have to, take their blazer off at the SFA and actually get out there and do their job properly and negotiate a proper deal at the SPFL even. So, yeah, by that time, the TV deal will run down and then you can renegotiate with more games, more money. The clubs will know what's going on and it'll make their budgeting. So there's ways around it. The league needs to grow. That's the way I look at it. So there's no excuse. Retraction of your league is never the way to go.
No.
So what we'll do, Willie, is we'll leave that topic there. What we're going to go to next is, touched on it before, about the SPFL wanting to reduce fixture congestion, particularly early in the season of European games. Now, in my opinion, it's good to see that Scottish clubs can now move fixtures around to allow their European games to allow for a bit more time before and after games, so they're not having a day and a half break playing again. So that decision has come through. It's been voted on. So we'll be able to do that around our Champions League qualifier next year, I think it's in late August or something like that. So in my opinion, this is a long overdue decision. Needed to be done years ago. Happy to see that. Willie, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, the fixture congestion, it's just getting worse and worse as the seasons go by. I mean, you even look at the amount of international fixtures that are getting horseshoed into it, left, right, and centre. And even at the end of the season, players get to the cup final in May. I think that's it. The season's over. We get a break, and all of a sudden, there's 3 or 4 international fixtures to be played then too. And then straight away in July, I mean, they get no time off in July. You're straight into the European qualifiers, which is hard going on the smaller clubs. Celtic and Rangers not so much. They're used to it. They've been doing it year in year out. It's second nature to them. But when you get a team like Hibs are about to Hibs, well, they look like they're going to be getting group stage football, or possibly they'll be playing qualifiers. You know what I mean? It's hard going on these kinds of squads. So allowing teams to cancel a fixture before qualifiers, I think it's a great idea and it's a positive step forward. So it's not often you can say to the SFA, well done, you've done something right. So credit where credit's due on that one, I suppose.
Willie, a broken watch is right twice a day.
Yeah,
So about time, they probably looked at their clock and gone, oh, it's actually the right time for once. Let's make a right
yeah.
decision. That's pretty much it. So, yeah, no, it needs to happen. At the end of the day, like, clubs need that bit more of a breather and that flexibility with fixtures. And whatever Sky likes, who cares? They never show the right amount of games anyway, so they can jog on as far as I'm concerned.
On the Sky one, I was watching the last Glasgow derby on Sky. I can't remember what channel it was. It Sky Sports Football. Halftime came and they said, if you want to carry on watching this game, you will have to move to Sky Sports such and such because the build up to the Arsenal Newcastle Cup final would be replacing it on Sky Sports Football. I was I was angry anyway. We were 2-0 down at half time. I wasn't in the best of mindsets as it was, but to be told that one of your biggest fixtures is going to be shelved to a lesser channel because you need to get the build up to the English League Cup final. That just shows you the contempt Sky TV has for Scottish football. And to circle back, if you want to save time and fixtures and clear up some scheduling, just bin the League Cup. It's just it's nice to win it and that, like, and it's part of the treble, but it's just I just don't think it has much value, to be honest, unless it's part of the treble. And that, like, it's only one good for getting one over your rivals. Okay, the other teams might just say, we have a chance of winning that one, so we all want to keep it." But for me, it's a dead rubber trophy. Like,
I got a different view on the League Cup there, Willie. Keep it, but open it up. Don't just make it what it is. Like, let's look at it this way. Take the premiership teams out of it if you want. Open it up to the lower tier clubs or whatever. Then allow League of Ireland clubs in, Welsh clubs that aren't affiliated. Let these guys in. Anyone wants to go and play in it, let them enter. If Celtic Rangers, they don't have a B team anymore, but if us and Hearts want to go in it and Aberdeen, play our B teams in that. And they can play for a cup. And that's how Celtic is represented in that. Like, if you're going to, instead of cancelling it completely, just tweak it a bit. Do it that way. Like, random idea there, but, they can take that one if they want. Smell the Glove has an option as well about the thing, abolish international football. Morning, Kevin. Hope you're well, mate. We have John who's tuned in. G'day, John. And then we'll just go through. Pork Chop Express is saying international football is the reason for congestion domestically. 6 breaks a season kills it for me. A break every 4 or 5 games is so stupid. I can't stand the internationals for the fact that I'm not really into it. Like, for me, I watch football because I love Celtic. That's the main thing for me. Australia played last week, and I was like, oh, how'd we go? Because now Graham Arnold's no longer our coach, I can actually get behind him again. Looking like, okay, cool, we won both games. Happy days. I would not have a clue who was in the team. So, international football is not for me. And then James Smith is saying, spot on, the internationals are a fault for the pile up of so many games. McLaughlin saying, international football only interests for me when it's the actual World Cup. Again, 100% correct. Heavy Vibes is saying the same. Play the internationals, play them in the summer. Kevin Graham is saying, Doncaster is a pansy for the clubs. He gets paid to take flack for their self-centered decisions.
the only good thing about Neil Doncaster is he gets under their skin really bad for some reason, and it's quite funny to watch from time to time. Just like, I just keep him in the job because he really annoys them for whatever reason. I don't know. So it's sometimes it's a bit. Is it worth it? For me, maybe like.
I was saying, Willie, about getting rid of the League Cup. Kevin's got a great idea here. If you qualify for Europe, you don't play in the League Cup.
Yeah,
I think
that's good.
that's actually a really good balance. So we don't play in it, but let's put our B team in if that's going to happen.
That would work.
And then we've got here Pork Chop Express. Only internationals that matter qualifies for World Cup and Euros. Back in the old days, the home internationals against Wales, Ireland, and the Guffies. Yep. So yeah, it's Hey, Willie's playing with the lights. There we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking at that, we'll leave that there, but we'll see how that all plays out with clubs being able to move things around, see if anyone Rangers decide to try to take advantage of that sort of thing next season with no sporting integrity. But yeah, we'll see what happens. So Celtic have been linked with Belgian winger Michel Ange Balikwisha from Royal Antwerp. Were previously linked with him last year before a thigh injury scuppered any chance of a transfer happening. So at least we've moved on from hearing that we're going in for Vistgarden again, and we're being linked with another former player we were linked with. What do you reckon, Willie? Newspaper talk or what?
Well, it probably is. The newspaper talk. It's probably a slow week for news all round since we've gone back to one fixture a week. The newspapers will be scratching around for a story here or there, so they'll just throw out a random name every now and again, and they're probably just regurgitating some like Balakawisha. But I remember, I think when the transfer window was coming round and we were being linked with him, I think we did a little bit of a look at him and watched a couple of videos on him, did a little bit of scouting report. Yeah, read some scouting reports online about him, and everything was positive. He could play anywhere across the front three. He could play up front. He was quite competent in all of them. So it probably would be a positive addition if it does come off. Like,
He's definitely a Brendan type winger. He's
yeah,
the big what's it called? Brendan's always said he wanted more. Was it quality and power? Well, he ticks the boxes on that. So yeah, it'll be interesting. And here we go, Pork Chop Express. Rumours of Vistgarden going to Portugal. Yeah, I think he'll go and replace, Gokares or something? Gokares if he leaves Sporting. Smell the glove. I'm sure Chris Garden will start again soon. Yep. Just a matter. I think it could also be agent talk. Like it could be Balikwisha's agent being like, yeah, we want to move on. He's back fit and playing. Apparently Celtic's been here to look with, and we know they were interested last year just to try and drum up some interest elsewhere.
he's one of that type of players. You'll mention him in a couple of seasons' time. Whatever happened to him, and you'll Google it, and you'll still be at Bromby, being linked with every club under the sun.
Yeah. There was one of them a couple of years back. Some bloke in Sweden or something like that. Anyway. So for the serious part of the pod, I'm only going to give this a couple little sentences and then move it on. So Celtic have settled the boys' club compensation claims. As I said, we're not going to go into it in too much detail. But my opinion, at the end of the day, I hope this helps those affected by the vile creatures who abused the former boys' club players back at the club in the 70s, 80s and 90s. No one should ever go through that. Abuse of any form, whether it's man to woman, woman to man, any pedo shit like that, all of that is, those people should be put in the bin. That's it. So hope this settlement here sorts it out and everyone can move on from it. And to any Rangers fans out there listening in, getting their rocks off to hearing us talk about this, just know it's not going to bankrupt our club. We have insurance who's going to pay this. So yeah, our club's not going to die because of that. So yeah, I just wanted to put that on the pod. It's been addressed, and unless you got anything to add, Willie, we'll just move on.
No, it's just hopefully this can be sort of a step in the right direction to some sort of closure that these victims can maybe start looking towards trying to get. Whether they will get full closure or not ever remains to be seen. But hopefully this is a step in the right direction between club and victim.
So a couple of comments here. Heavy vibes. Yeah, spot on there, mate. I'm not going to bring it up on the screen though because we'll get in a bit of trouble. Pork Chop Express, pray for the victims, 100%. So Kasper Schmeichel will be out for about 6 weeks with his shoulder injury. While this is bad for him, I hope that his recovery goes well and he's back to full health soon. In the meantime, in Sinisalo we trust. Hey, Willie.
Yep, I'm fully on board the Willie Sinisalo bus. Like, he's got a good first name. That can't be argued at all. And he did all right at the weekend. I thought he had a couple of passes that were a wee bit ropey, but no different from any other goalkeeper out there, unless you're Allison and you're paying super money for that kind of stuff.
So on this podcast, we've got Dan, the chairman of the Yang Gang. We've got Jared is like the leader of the Kun lovers. I was the Tilio Tiara fool, and Willie is the leader of the Sinisalo group. I'm telling you, like,
Yeah.
we all got our little ones there. Willie is like in the group chat, bigging him up and everything. So that's why I've got to. There we go. He's on the Sinisalo train.
I am indeed. Yeah,
You're the conductor, mate.
yeah.
Give it a toot, Willie.
Oh, he's got a good first name, like I say. You got to stick up for your fellow first name. Someone with the same first name as you, Alex.
It's close, mate. It's close.
Billy Sinisalo, you know what I mean? It's
Willie
just a
and Willie. There you go.
foreign slant to it. Like, good luck to the boy. I mean, he's 21. Is it 21 years of age? Like I say, he seemed to be talking to the defence the whole time. He was commanding them. He was telling them where he wanted them and stuff like that. So I was reasonably impressed with what he did. He had a save to make early on, and he made it. Yep, a couple of wayward passes, but I'm going to forgive him for that. So I'd like to see him get the rest of the season. Maybe get all the way to the cup final as well. Like, so here's hoping.
There you go. As bang on cue there, Willie. Andrew Galea. Sinisalo needs the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Schmeichel should wait until next season and go out with style. Happy days, mate. So now it's time for our favourite thing, laughing at Chris Boyd. So Chris Boyd has said that Rangers should sign Greg Taylor as a free agent at the end of the season. This is what I didn't want to tell you before the pod, Willie. I told him we had something with it. So my first thought seeing that headline was, how much glue do you think this bloke has been sniffing before writing that article? Like, absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, Jesus.
He said he fits the profile. Yes, I read it so you didn't have to, okay? He said he fits the player profile, the type that they need, and he's a former junior to boot. No. Because on the Greg Taylor front, it's looking likely that a deal for him to join Dinamo Zagreb will be finalised in the next few days. If this happens, Greg will leave Celtic. If this happens, Willie, will Greg leave Celtic with all of our best wishes, or do you think there'll be an element of the fan base who'll be glad he's leaving the club?
I think you'll go with our best wishes. I think we all know his time's come to its end. You know what I mean? We talk about the cycles of players at clubs and when we need to move them on. I think his probably passed a couple of seasons ago, and just due to the lack of reinvestment in that position, or when we did invest in that position, it didn't go well. Like when we signed Burnaby, it didn't work out, and like it's just come to a natural time for that natural parting of the ways. I wish him all the best. I mean, he's a decent enough left back. He gets caught out of position a lot because of the way he inverts. Well, when Ange came, we made him an inverted fullback. And he seemed to relish in that role, but he seemed to get caught out of position a lot because he just caused chaos. Well, 1 minute he's out in right wing, next he's at left wing, next he's at left back. But like I say, he's got a mistake in him. He gets caught out of position, and that's just the nature of the game he tries to play. But I'm not going to harbour any grudges from him. I've had my gripes with him over his time here at Celtic, but it's just like it's just time, you know what I mean? So all the best, Greg, and good luck in Zagreb. An absolutely beautiful city. Like, I've been there myself. It's a wonderful city. Like, so good luck out there, mate. Like,
Yeah, so for me looking at it, I think, there will be an element of the fan base. Small percentage who'll be like, yeah, glad he's leaving. Like, be honest with you, I'm glad he's leaving at the end of his contract. I'm not glad he's leaving in terms of because I think he's shit. I think, as you said, Willie, he's come to the end of his tenure at the club. It's much like when Neil Bitten moved on. He come to the end of his obvious tenure at the club, and it's time for him to move on. Greg's the same. His biggest issue when he came to the club originally was that he wasn't Kieran Tierney. That's the way I saw it. He come in, everyone's used to Tierney doing everything that he was doing, and we had Bolingoli come in and we had Taylor come in. Neither of them lived up to it. And then it's been consistent churn and burn through that position, and Greg's the only one that stayed there the whole time. And yeah, he may have the odd mistake in him. He may be short and he gets caught out and gets targeted in Europe and in big games. But all things considered, he's done a great job for us over his time at the club. And yeah, I wish him nothing but the best. He's got a young family. Get out of the Glasgow Goldfish Bowl, go over to Zagreb with his young family, live near the ocean, and yeah, live a good life. And good luck to him. That's the way I look at it. So I'll bring up some comments now. Heavy Vibes is saying nothing but praise for Taylor. Andrew Galea is saying Taylor has been a good Celtic player, deserves the success he had in his time. Smell the Glove is saying Greg's going to leave with 12 winners' medals. Good luck in Croatia. And Heavy Vibes is saying need a backup for KT now. We're talking about that last week, about Schlupp, if we can get him. Or do we look to bring through a youth player behind KT? I think the perfect option would be if you can get Schlupp to come in, and then you'd have a young guy, whether it's Anderson or Mitchell Frame, as the third stringer, as the understudy to both of them. But Pete McGee I've questioned Greg Taylor's suitability for European games, but I've got nothing but good things to say about him domestically. He's given his all, and that's about as much as you can ask for. John Hutchison saying Taylor should leave with his head held high. He's done a job for us on many occasions. And in Pork Chop Express saying KT, Schlupp, Trusty, Scales, and Greg Taylor. There's all your left centre back, left backs all covered. Yep. Andrew Galea apparently was scouting Belgium. Geordie Boss. Oh God, make it happen. And as I said on Monday, if it's not going to be him, bring in his younger brother Casey. He'd do a lot worse. So what we'll do, Willie, is we'll go to the match preview for the game coming up against St Johnstone at McDiarmid. I always say it's right, McDiarmid Park on Sunday. So it's a midday kickoff. Daylight savings ender for us down here in Australia. So East Coast of Australia, 9 p.m. kickoff, not 11 o'clock like it would have been 2 weeks ago. So happy days. How are you feeling heading into the game, Willie?
Oh, I can only feel confident going into this one. St Johnstone are bottom of the league. They've been bottom of the league since March day 18, so it's hard not to feel confident going into this one.
Yeah, it's the same for me. Like, I'm expecting us to absolutely give them a pasting. So, yeah, my general thoughts heading into the game are if we play our football, get an early goal, they're going to absolutely they'll capitulate. There you go. That's my big word of the day. So, yeah, I think it's a chance there where we're going to be well game planned and prepped and ready to go. So, what do you think the key areas for us to focus on to win this match will be, Willie?
Centre of midfield and quickness of passing is going to be key to this one. Looking at them, they generally play a 3-4-2-1 sort of formation. So when we come to town, you can sort of see that being sort of a 5-4-1 more than anything else, where the fullbacks will tuck in, the high midfielders will probably drop in a little bit. They're going to try and make it compact. They're not going to water the pitch. It'll be dry and bobbly as it always is up there. So midfield is going to be key to this. They need to suss that pitch quite quickly, get the passes going, and try and get in behind them. But it's going to be difficult. You just need a bit of patience. When the first one comes, they might have to try and step out or try and get back into the game. Hopefully, that first one will come early and it won't be too sort of like waiting in the second half before we get the first goal or that. Because they can be a difficult team to break down under the new manager. Can't remember his name off the top of my head at the moment, but they have come in. The form has improved a little bit. He's sort of brought them back into contention from being seriously adrift to sort of I think they're 4 points adrift now. Simo Valakari is the boy's name. He used to play with Motherwell. But it's going to be. I think we'll beat them, and I think we'll get that early goal, which will open the game up for us. But it has the potential to be one of them sort of banana skin sort of games where it could go a little bit longer than you hope for before you get the opener.
Yeah, so there's a comment here from Pork Chop Express saying who we playing after St Johnstone. So we got Killy at home next week, and then we've got St Johnstone again in the Cup semi. So yeah, it's going to be one of those interesting ones there, Willie. So there we go. Smell the guy saying it's going to be 4 or 5 on Sunday. We're getting 3 stands. Forgot about that. It's good fun.
All right, that's right.
Yeah, so realistically, going into it, I'm thinking key area for us will be pretty simple. How do we break down their defensive line? So how do we get in behind them? Geez, almost hit the end broadcast button there, Willie, for a second. So,
Had enough of your shite, Willie. Fuck off.
Yeah, so I'm thinking we'll go in there. It's going to be how well we get in behind them. Don't let them get their line set, as you're saying. It's going to be like a 5-4-1. So we get in there. So it's going to be that midfield into our wingers and forwards. So we've got to get some quick play through the guts there. But yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be a high scoring match. If we score early, we're going to smack them like we're going to score 4 or 5.
Yeah.
If it gets to 40 minutes at 0-0, then we'll probably only win by 2. That's what I'm thinking. Which player do you think is going to have the biggest impact on us winning the game, Willie? For me, it's Dazen.
Yeah, the player that I think Dyson Maeda is going to be key to this game as well. He's his pace and movement. It could frighten the centre backs. So the wide players too. I'm kind of hoping Kuhn might find a bit of form in this game. He's been kind of absent this last few weeks. And Jota's going from strength to strength. So this could be the kind of game when you've got that sort of low block, his trickery comes in, his skill set might come in handy as well. So Jota or Maeda for me. Like.
The thing with Kuhn, right, he played well in the first half last week. And he's getting to that point where he's very, I'm not going to say one-dimensional, but the defenders know what they're up against with him. So if you're playing against a team like St Johnstone that has 5 at the back and then have 4 just in front, you know he gets to like just above the box and then he tries to come back into his left. So what they'll do is they'll shut off going to the byline and they'll shut off him coming in onto his left and they'll tell him, take your right foot and go to the sideline. And then he won't be able to do anything and then he'll have to reverse it. And then we have that reverse the ball, all that recycling and passing it across the back. So that's why I'm thinking we need to get that early goal. And I think Kuhn will probably score that first goal. If we can get a quick ball over the top to him, he'll either score it or get the pass across to Days and he'll tap it in and we're off to the races. So, yeah, wingers have a massive part of it. Starting lineups, Willie, we'll go to that. I'll go first. We'll have Sinisalo in goal. I think it'll be Schlupp, Naroski, again, he's been doing well, CCV and Johnson. Middle of the park will be Kelmack. This is the easy part in the middle. Kelmack, Rio, and Engels. And up front, Maeda, Kuhn and Jota. Anything different, Willie?
Not really. Sinisalo, Schlupp. Trusty might come back in, I think. Carter Vickers, Johnson, Engels, McGregor, Hatate, Kuhn, Maeda, Jota. Yeah, no real difference in there. I think Trusty, Nawrocki's done all right. He is a little bit slower than I think Brendan Rodgers likes, but he's barely put a foot wrong, so it's hard to just drop him and say, right, Trusty's back in. Right, so it probably will be Nawrocki.
Yeah, so I'm thinking. So, your score prediction, Willie?
4-0.
Exactly what I think it'll probably be, 4 or 5-0. So I'm looking through the comments and there's some interesting stuff here. So what we've got here is this one from Smell the Glove. St Johnston's pitch is actually slightly bigger than Celtic Park. Never would have thought that. You watch it on TV from over here, and just the camera angle does not give you that at all. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Question from John Hutchison is, would you guys give Maeda 50k a week or more to stay at Celtic? Yes.
Yep.
You get a one-word answer there, John, because it's so obvious. Now, I'm just going back to a couple of things here. So we've got the Greg Taylor thing. Smell the Glove is saying, remember Greg Taylor as well for Shut Your Hole, Fat Boy? Class. It's one of the best. There you go. Pete McGee said it's a historic quote. Brian McGarry saying, like a lot of ex-players, his career will probably nosedive, but at least learn a few bob for him and his young family, so good luck to him. Yeah, but he might get a suntan. So that's another factor there as well. So yeah, well, it'll be interesting. There's one other question here. So, sorry, Lucky 15 Voodoo. What do you guys think about the 10-team league reconstruction? That's the very first thing we spoke about on the pod. So when we're done, jump back there and check it out because we spoke about that for a good 20, 25 minutes. We went into it in depth. So yeah, I think the 10-team is absolute crap and it needs to get to 14 and grow to 16. That's just the cliff notes for you. And there was one other thing here from Andrew Galea. Is that midfielder from Motherwell any better than Ryan Teague? So Andrew's talking about Ryan Teague, Australian international, plays for Melbourne Victory, defensive midfielder. There's 3 players at Melbourne Victory. If they left my team here and went to my team in Scotland at Celtic, if they brought in Casey Boss instead, because we couldn't get his brother Geordie, if you bring in Ryan Teague as a defensive midfielder and you bring in Nishan Velupillay as a winger, all 3 of them are of the standard where they could come in and they would at least be McGowan level contenders where they can start games. But I think Teague would be good enough. I think at the moment, Teague's a better player than Lennon Miller. Lennon Miller will go to a higher level long term in his career. What do you think, Willie?
I don't really know who Ryan Teague is. So I'd have to say I would go for the Motherwell player myself.
The only reason I said that that is because Teague's 21, something like that, 22. Miller's 18. He's done a bit, but he hasn't really done anything at international level, even though playing for Scotland and playing for Australia, different, whatever. But yeah, still, one's a full international. Has played a bit more, so that's the only reason I'm going there. That's the green and there you go. Andrew Galea saying they are already. Teague has experienced Europe too. Yeah, he played in Portugal, I think it was, for about 4 years. So anyway, what we'll do, Willie, is we'll go to our final thoughts to wrap up the pod. So do you need some thinking time?
Nah, I'm ready to go.
Off you go then.
When you say he's a fucking idiot, 96% of the world knows exactly who you're talking about.
Okay. And my final thought is I'm going to ask you a question. Okay. Is AI the answer to all of football's questions regarding recruitment? Because the Scotsmen seem to think that it will help Rangers out. They asked Grok AI to advise which players Rangers should be signing for next season to beat Celtic. With that happening, the Scottish mainstream media has now hit a new low with what is passing as journalism, to use Neil Lennon air quotes. Absolutely piss poor, but I did find it funny. So we'll leave it there. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Appreciate you spending some of your time with us on this Thursday. Have a great day. Be back next week. I'm on the Celtic. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.